You are now watching The Lone Blown. Blown! Yo, what's poppin' YouTube? Welcome back to The Lone Blown. I'm The Lone Blown, aka Zac C, and today we're with LucMetal. We've had a few peeps ask about where's LucMetal on this channel, and I mean, I've posted in the past, but apparently everyone's looking to get updated on these deck lists on every couple weeks or 3 weeks, every month, something like that. So you want to know what I'm trying to deliver today. Now, I'm going to start off by saying I'm not a LucMetal master, I'm not Josh Sutherland, I'm not Jake Gearhart, I'm not Gabe Smart. There's a whole bunch of players who are great at playing LucMetal. Now, that's not to say that I'm bad at playing LucMetal, so excuse me if there's any mistakes when it comes from me playing this video to an absolute perfect level, because LucMetal is one of those decks where you either don't vibe with LucMetal or you're one of the loyal followers. So I'm sure I'll see Jake in the comments be like, Zac, you should have used Intrepid Sword this turn, and here's YYXXXXX. To me, that's great because I'm bringing out the experts on this subject. And B, I mean, I think I'm going to be playing it at like a 90-95% capable level. LucMetal, for those of you who don't know, is a great deck at countering VMAX decks. And you might be like, yo, but what about like Desi Goons, things like that? Don't those counter other things too? Well, this deck also has Zacian V as a great attacker. You could also use LucMetal, reduce damage, and kind of put yourself in a game-winning position. I decided to go against playing Crushing Hammers after talking to my pal Zach Cooper. You can check them out on Twitter. Really great player, kind of gave me access to his list, and he's like, here's why, here's that. So I'm going to provide his list because it's much better than the list that I had. So shout out to him for the list. The list is in the description below. So if you're missing any of the cards from the deck, go to PTCGO plug in code ZLassage5. That's also in the description below. And while you're at it, hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. I'm trying to get to 1,000 subs right now, so every little bit helps. But yeah, basically, the way this video is going to go out is we're going to go LucMetal, explain the deck, play through a few games. I mean, hopefully I play correctly. We'll find out in the comments after Jake watches this video, and then I'll give you my thoughts on LucMetal. Anyways, let's jump into the deck. So here we have LucMetal Zacian, and the deck, as you can see, kind of like the Eternatus deck that I've been seeing a lot of success with lately. It has only 2 lines, and you might be like, shouldn't you have more tech cards? Can't you? 2-line decks have been very consistent lately. I mean, not to say like 2-line decks are great or anything like that, or the more compressed and compact your cards are, it's good, but it just means that this deck has a pretty solid strategy with a very few cards. Now, there are layers of depth to this deck. However, my hot take on this deck is I feel like there's not enough lines of play. I think that like within this deck, there are lines of play, so I don't want it to be like there aren't lines of play or anything like that. What I'm trying to say is sometimes you're just going to be using Intrepid Sword to be drawing some cards, hopefully trying to get an energy, and that's all you can do. That's one reason why I've been opting to stay away from this deck. However, if you are playing in the Players Cup 3, this is one of the best decks that's seen success for some of my friends. They've been qualifying through, or at least they're trying to qualify with LucMetal, and they're getting a lot of those finals, first place finishes. They're getting a lot of rep with this deck. So let's explain exactly what's going on here. So the base of this deck, or kind of the premise of this deck, is you have access to Full Metal Wall. Full Metal Wall allows your metal type Pokemon, which this deck is all metal type Pokemon, to do 30 less damage. They take 30 less damage from your opponent's attacks. And if you have an extra energy, you can take away all of your opponent's energies from their active Pokemon. So normally you want to save the Full Metal Wall for once your opponent's active Pokemon has a bunch of energies, to put them in a position where maybe they invested too much into one Pokemon, and it kind of gives them that off turn. You could also combine this with Marnie, the damage reduction as well from Full Metal Wall, and Metal Goggles to put your opponent in a really awkward position where they're doing minimal damage, and for the minimal damage that they're doing, you have access to Mallow Lana, which you could fetch out with Pokegear. You could then build up quick attackers with Metal Saucer, naturally by using Intrepid Sword, to really finish the game off. Now, this deck kind of has 2 strategies. You're either going to go for Full Metal Wall at some point during the game to reduce your opponent's damage, and then attack with Zacian V to knock out their threats that they have remaining after you removed all their energies. Or, if your opponent's playing a VMAX deck, you can use Dauntless Shield to stop all things from a VMAX deck. So if you're playing against like a against an Eternatus deck, an Inteleon VMAX deck, like anything that has VMAX in it, Zamazenta is very good. If you are playing against something like Centiskorch VMAX, the matchup becomes a little bit different. You want to kind of vibe out with Zamazenta V and then isolate all their threats with Zacian V using coding Metal Energy to provide yourself with no weakness. So basically, most games you want to start off by using Intrepid Sword. You want to have Zacian V in the active position most times. There's a lot of ways to get out of the active spot via Switch, or via Mallow Lana, or Pokegear for Mallow Lana, or just hard retreating. But if you attach an energy to a Zacian V turn 1, and then you Intrepid Sword into another, quite often you promote a huge threat to your opponent's Pokemon, and then you're often like a Bosss Orders away from just knocking out a Pokemon they might have invested energies in. So if you put your opponent through this kind of disruption loop, or kind of like this toxic gameplay of just being like, hey, cool, I'm literally about to knock out your Pokemon in the second turn of the game, that can be huge, and that's something that you really need to watch out for. Same thing, Zamazenta V, if your opponent plays special energies, don't be afraid to use Assault Tackle. Again, if you're hitting those Colossal VMAX decks, anything like that, Assault Tackle, Dauntless Shield is a great combination. And the more energies that they have on a Pokemon, make sure that you're planning for a Full Metal Wall GX on that Pokemon. Think about your surroundings when you play Pokemon down on your bench. It's huge. Lillies Pokédoll in this deck, both copies allow you to avoid deck outs. In a way, because you could always go Lillies Pokédoll, put another Lillies Pokédoll up, and then just keep on putting it at the bottom of your deck. So that can help you avoid deck out if you ever fall into a situation. Most decks will have a counter to that, but what it does allow you to do is you could switch into a Lillies Pokédoll, Metal Saucer, or reset your Brave Blade, and then put Lillies Pokédoll at the bottom of your deck. So it's kind of like a free buffer that allows you to just kind of, it's like a free retreater all the time. But once you retreat or do anything, Lillies Pokédoll allows you to jump back into the action. Metal Saucer is pretty self-explanatory in a metal type deck. I think that attaching metal energies are great. Again, I try to power up the LucMetal in one turn. I'm often scared in most matchups just to have this on the bench. It's such a liability. And remember, when you're trying to plan out your prize cards, that you want to go for like 3-2-2 or something like that. Your opponent can't necessarily knock out everything. So let's say if you're playing against a VMAX deck, you want to make sure that you're not going to give them a LucMetal, a Zacian, another Zacian, and then a Zamazenta, because that means that they can knock out 3 prize cards here, 2 prize cards here, and their last prize cards here, because that means that they're going to get all their prize cards without ever having to deal with the Zamazenta. That's largely the biggest mistake that I ever see when players are playing LucMetal, is that they overbench, they often get scared and struggle. So that's really the biggest things on where I'm really worried about this deck whenever anyone's playing against it. So just make sure that you're keeping that in mind, and don't give your opponent too many prize cards. Try to go with a strategy that you think is acceptable in the matchup, but I'll try to explain that a little bit in this video, the best to my ability. Quick Ball, again, no-brainer, just basic Pokemon in this deck. Quick Ball can search at everything. Switch, you're going to need to get out of the active spot at some points, whether you're getting Tandem Shocked, whether you're getting just like stuck in the active, or you need to reset your Brave Blade. Great card here. Tool Scrapper can stop a lot of just random things. Maybe your opponent's playing Metal Goggles in a mirror match, or maybe your opponent has something spicy on their active. Tool Scrapper is huge there. Bosss Orders, we want to punish our opponent for playing down Pokemon. We want to heal our Pokemon. We can disrupt our opponent, especially after going for a Full Metal Wall GX. Professors Research, we need to draw into our cards. Metal Goggles, let's further reduce our damage. They can't put damage counters on our Pokemon. Not that it's too big, but Zigzagoon's kind of popular in our format, so that is something to think about. Coding Metal Energy is basically here for the Centiskorch matchup or any of the fire type decks. I'm not sold on this card yet, to be honest. It's one of those things where, like, maybe in this video I'll sell myself on it, but we'll see. And then enough metal energies to make the deck go around. So this is what we got going on for this deck today. I mean, it's 2 lines of cards, so it's not going to be the biggest explanation, but I'll do my best to explain what's going on with these decks, or with the deck in each one of the upcoming games that we're playing in. So let's hop into some of those games, and I'm crossing my fingers that I get the approval from Mr. Gearhart himself. I'd love to hear their thoughts on it below. Anyways, let's jump in here, see some gameplay. So we're gonna call the coin flip. I'm just gonna go with heads because I'm feeling it. We won the coin flip. I think it's actually better to go first here. And I mean, feel free to let me know in the comments below if you think that's any different. The reason why I think it's better to go first is I have a very good chance of starting with Zacian. And I just want to start getting that attack off on my second turn. So here I'm starting with the Zacian exactly as I predicted it. We'll see what we're playing against here. I'm playing against a Blastoise deck. So that might be something that's difficult to play against. Just because there's not really a natural anything to go against there. There's a Melmetal-GX. So I mean, I don't necessarily need to worry about the Melmetal-GX. I'm just going to go Quick Ball, discarding a Metal Energy. I am going to search my deck for a Zacian. Because I don't think my opponent's playing any VMAX Pokemon. I'm not grabbing out Zamazenta. I don't want to put a 3 prize card Pokemon down yet. I try to bench that in the same turn. So I'm going to go Metal Saucer there. I am going to attach a Metal Energy to my Zacian V here. I am going to go Metal Goggles. And since I have the switch, I am just going to go for the Intrepid Sword on the back. So I'm fairly close to getting it. But as you can see, like, the issue with this deck that I find, and I don't want to be like, I don't want to look at it because, like, I have been very vocal that I don't think Lucario Melmetal is a very good deck. Here I'm trying to find purposes to enjoy this deck. I'm trying to find reasons how this deck is good. It's just moments where there's no Dedenne, there's no Crobat that I can't properly plan. A lot of my draws are just using Intrepid Swords, and even if I got an energy there, it would have been a half draw. Where I just wouldn't have necessarily drawn as many cards. There's a reason why we don't play with cards like Hop, and we don't play with cards like Beauty and things like that. You want to be drawing more than 2 to 3 cards per turn. Now, maybe the other features of this deck are compelling. I just don't necessarily find them as compelling as other decks. So Eternatus has a wide range of matchups, and even if I were to play against an Eternatus deck, I don't even feel like it's an auto-win matchup as many LucMetal players may have thought. But that's okay. I'm just going to go ahead and switch into the Zacian V. And at this point, I think I'm actually going to put down my LucMetal. Or maybe, I'm often debating if that makes sense. I don't think I need to worry too much about it. So I am going to put the LucMetal down here. And that might be a mistake. I'm fine to accept that risk. I'm just trying to thin a card out of my deck. I could have put that at the bottom of my deck with Marnie. But that's okay. I'm going to put it down there in case I need the LucMetal at any points. So there's the Metal Energy. I mean, it's looking fine here. There's the Metal Energy. Here is the Brave Blade. So the Brave Blade is going to take a knockout on my second turn. There's 2 prize cards. So this game, I'm going to have to play a little bit more aggressive than normal. But that's okay. It's just more or less, I need to worry about what my opponent has. I want to make sure that I can take out their Pokemon whenever possible, etc., etc. And if I decide to take out one of these Squirtles or something else like that, it probably would make a lot of sense for me to switch, maybe go for a Mallow Lana. However, this isn't really a meta deck, but it does allow me to kind of play Solitaire. No offense to Soggy Bread 293. I mean, I'm sure they're building a favorite deck. Maybe they're trying a new rogue combo or something like that. In my case, it's not really one of the meta decks that I'm used to preparing against. I don't think it necessarily posed the biggest threat, especially with it being water type. So I can kind of just like go after their Pokemon. Here, I'm probably just going to attach the Coding Metal Energy. I don't really see any huge deal to go switch or anything else like that. Trying to take a knockout on the Squirtle. So I'm just going to go ahead and go Intrepid Sword here. So there's the Intrepid Sword, and you can also see with the Coding Metal Energy, you can't attach it with Intrepid Sword, and that's a can't with a T, in case phonetically it's heard differently. You can't attach the energy, and that makes it a little bit tough. So my opponent's got their Blastoise out. They're going to try to attach some water energies to their Pokemon. Now I'm kind of in a position, if they get out some other Pokemon, they go for Powerful Squall. I'm going to try to ping them down with Bosss Orders after using Pokegear 3.0. So they got the Pipstoise. Might be something to watch out for. Probably my game plan here is to knock out a Squirtle now, and then knock out a Pipstoise. Or Blastoise Piplup. So they're getting some energies out here. Apparently they have quite a few. And they're making me paralyzed. That's fine. They attach to any Pokemon, so removing the energies probably doesn't matter too much, but maybe it will. I am going to go Lillies Pokédoll here. Actually, you want to know what? I don't think it matters at all if I remove my opponent's energies. They can get the knockout for all I care. It probably just doesn't matter because I can get a knockout with the Lucario Melmetal next turn. So you want to know what? I'm going to go like this. I'm going to go ahead here and switch to get out of the paralysis. Put this at the bottom of my deck. I'm going to go ahead here and go Zacian V because I'd rather get the 220 first. Yeah, they don't have a big hand, so they're not going to be attaching too many energies. I'm going to go Pokegear here. If I don't get the Boss's Orders, I'm going to leave that there. I'm going to pitch this hand away. Maybe just putting another Zacian down. I'm not too worried about prize cards because it's all the same value. Then I'm just going to go Research. I don't want to play Marnie on my opponent's hands. Lillies Pokédoll can also go down. And I'm going to hit for 220, or 230, I should say. Now, hopefully my opponent does not do a lot with Splash Maker. If they do, or try to build up a bunch of energies, I'm just going to go ahead and Full Metal Wall instead of going for Steel Fist. At some point, I think my opponent's going to run out of energies because they already have 3 in their discard pile. So let's see what Powerful Squall does for them. They could start attacking with a Blastoise. That's fine. So there's 120. They didn't even get the knockout on me. That's completely fine. I am going to go ahead here and just go Metal Saucer. Metal Saucer, build this up. I might as well attach an energy here. Let's just go Pokegear, see if I can get a Mallow Lana. Mallow Lana sounds great. I'm going to go Mallow Lana, discarding the Quick Ball since I don't need anything else, in a Tool Scrapper. Bringing this up, I might as well attach my my Metal Goggles here. And I feel like I'm in a great spot. I'm just going to go Steel Fist, putting me up down to 1 prize card left. I am going to grab an energy, and the reason why I'm grabbing an energy, I'm able to retreat now. And if they knock out the Zacian V, that's cool. I always have another one built up on the side. So I've kind of checkmated my opponent a few ways around. I probably shouldn't have benched this Zacian V down. I was expecting my opponent to get the knockout, but I wasn't thinking about their damage outputs. That's okay. I'll totally take the win. I'm not too worried about here. So the extra Zacian V probably didn't matter. And it was a little bit extra on my behalf. So I could have played a little bit more within the sandbox, but I was coloring outside the lines this game. That's fine. Hydro Tackle. They're going to take their damage, and now I can just go 150. Not even having a retreat. So, last prize cards. We take those. This is how LucMetal can beat some of the more different decks in the formats, not necessarily just the VMAX decks. So I actually hit my friend Ethan Heggie. They're the ones that runs the Hegster tournaments. So I'm just going to give them a bit of a heart. I'm not entirely sure what deck they're playing. Ethan's been playing a lot of Eternatus, so this might be a fairly good matchup. Might just be testing. So here I'm actually forced to start with the LucMetal. To me, this is completely fine. And let's just vibe out here. See exactly what they're doing. So there's a Jirachi, and I mean, to me, this seems like an absolute mess of a matchup, if you ever ask me. Because Jirachi usually means I'm playing against Decigoons, or I'm playing against Centiskorch. But you want to know what? I'm not sure what Ethan's playing here, so let's see exactly where it is. Our goal of this video is to find out if LucMetal is as good as what it talks about. I am a professional Pokemon player, often ranked highly. Oh, my opponent's playing Mewtwo. Interesting. So basically Mewtwo, since it's Mewtwo Welder from what I can gather, my opponent is going to be playing a bunch of fire type attackers. They could just turn their deck into a fire type deck. And then they're going Reset Stamp. Maybe they have a Crobat in their hands. I actually really don't like this hands. So this is one of those things where I'm like a little bit worried when it comes to these things. Yeah, there's the Crobat there. This deck is a little bit fragile, if you ask me. And I know I just got reset stamped into nothing, but I will be including this one in the video because it is a little bit fragile. So you can see here, like, there's not too much that I can do. I'm going to put the Lillies Pokedoll down so I don't get benched out. I am worried about fire type Pokemon in general, so I am going to go Coating Metal Energy. And I'm not going to go for the Full Metal Wall. It is something that people can do. It doesn't make sense for me to do it. So I am going to end my turn without attacking. But I just don't want to go Full Metal Wall here. I'd rather take some energies off while I'm at it. If they had energies, then I'd still need another energy for Full Metal Wall. So to me, this seems like it's not necessarily going to be a great matchup, just because you can see that there are fire-type Pokemon in play. Mewtwo Mew is probably not going to matter too much. The Victini V Heatran combination is probably going to be very harsh, especially considering there's no Intrepid Sword here. Zamazenta is not going to provide any kind of anything in this particular matchup. So I just got to be careful on what my opponent's doing. All hope at this point is really just going to be like, yeah, I really hope my opponent's... Oh, I don't know why they're attaching the energies to the Mewtwo. Maybe they're trying to get off the Burning Road. To me, I don't necessarily think that makes sense. It's better to attach energies to Heatran. I got punished in my Australia international finals by just benching a Heatran like that. If I just boss this order up and there's no switch, it could just stay there for a few turns. But that's okay. Really, it's just one of those things where you want to punish... He's trying to punish me for being weak to metal. At this point, there's really not much else I want to do except just go for Steel Fist. And I might as well build up more energies if possible, although it is a bit of a slow grind. But yeah, I think that there's a lot of just shakiness going on here on my behalf. So it does not make for a very exciting game. And I think this is where LucMetal's downfall is because sometimes the lack of a strong base of cards really allows for like randomness like this to occur. And this has really been the case for most of the times that I played my deck. I know a lot of players have seen a lot of success playing LucMetal. I'm not 100% sold on it. So as you can see, my opponent's probably just going to go Flare Blitz GX for the knockouts. 300 damage. Minus 20 for resistance. Yep, and there's the Scoop Up Net. So the 50 damage is lost. 300 damage gone. This is just honestly terrible. And this is what scares me about playing LucMetal. There's so many powerful fire decks, and Mewtwo Mew has fallen right out of the metagame. But it doesn't necessarily matter that much. There's just enough fire decks where there's Blacephalon, Crycephalon, Fire Toolbox, or as Azul calls it, Tempozard. Then you got the Senna-Scorch decks. And now we're popping up with here. So you can see nothing here. I mean, my opponent can get an attack off, but I'll just make it easier. You may lose the game. Yeah, we know we lose the game because there's nothing else in this hand. That's fine. We'll jump into another one. So we're going to call the coin flip. I mean, I'm just going to call tails this time. Whatever. I won the coin flip. Would I like to go first? Yeah, I'll go first. That sounds fine. Starting with the lone Zacian. Zacian! Never mind, that was stupid. Let's see what my opponent's playing here. My opponent is playing... It looks like they're playing Orbeetle, which typically is a good matchup for this deck. I will draw another card. That's fine. That's a Crobat. I'm going to do this. I'm going to get a Metal Goggles there, just in case my opponent plays a Marnie or anything. And then I'm going to go Intrepid Sword. So no shot of me kind of getting off that huge turn or anything like that and getting the second energy. But that's okay. We'll just vibe out with what we got going on here. If this is Orbeetle, like I think it is, it's probably a very favorable matchup for this deck. I'd really like to play against some of the more favorable matchups, but I'm not going to sit here and record for 5 hours in search of the best matchups to play against this deck. Maybe if you want to see a LucMetal versus other decks matchup series, that'd be cool. Oh, my opponent's playing Rawags. Okay. So this is not an Orbeetle deck. I do have resistance to grass type, so that might be a little bit more difficult. The Tropical Hour GX is not necessarily the biggest thing that I'm worried about. My opponent is playing Zacian V. Interesting card that I haven't really played against before. Jungle Rising a few years ago would have been an amazing, fantastic attack. Our power creep has just kind of made it to the point where it's just not huge right now. So there's Air Balloon. They're going to be able to go and use Super Growth, evolve into a Rillaboom very quickly. Power Plant's not going to do too much here, but that's okay. I'm totally cool. I'm totally vibing with it. I'm going to go ahead here and put another Zacian down because I don't want to lose the game to that. I am going to build up an energy here, and I'm just going to build up with Intrepid Sword. I'm not going to touch the Metal Goggles because I am worried about Tool Scrapper. A deck like this typically would play Tool Scrapper. So I'm going to go ahead, Intrepid Sword. There's an energy. I will gladly take it. And then just kind of vibing out here. Should be okay. If I'm able to build up enough energy on board, I could take out some of their Pokemon. My game plan here might be bringing up the Rillaboom. That might be a good option. Taking away the Rillaboom and then going for a full metal wall. I could see that being hot. There's a few things that, like, I'm just waiting to see how my opponent reacts. I'd love to take away their energies, though, in a second. So there's the Calming Hurricane for 90. Which is, like, a decent bit of damage here. I think I'm just going to get the attack off on them. Like, I think if I go 230, that sounds fine. At the same time, like, if they use their GX attack prematurely on me, that sounds cool too. And I could just kind of heal. Yeah, you want to what? I'm just going to go Bosss Orders up on their Rillaboom, kind of stop their turn. To me, that sounds really good. I am going to go Metal Goggles on this one, just in case my opponent does play that Marnie. And there's the Metal Energy right there. So I'm just going to go Brave Blade, take it right out. Because this is going to stop my opponent from going for the full effect of Tropical Hour GX. I have enough resistance on my Pokemon where I shouldn't really worry about it too much. Getting the other Metal Goggles back there is kind of hot too, if they do get off the Tool Scrapper this turn. Looks like they're just naturally building up. If I'm able to get off a LucMetal, they're in a very just bad position, I think. Maybe they'll just drop the Grookey down and give me another turn. That'd be cool too. Bird Keeper, they're just gonna draw some extra cards. Oh, and they went for the Tropical Hour GX. See, I don't think it's worthwhile to ever attach the extra energies there then. To me, I think that's really the biggest issue here. Okay, well, in this case, I have access to a bunch of stuff where I could just go Metal Goggles, Metal Saucer, Metal Saucer, Coating Metal Energies, build that up. Now, I could go Mallow Lana here and hit for the 220. I'd much rather, like, I don't know if I want to do that right now. Actually, you know what? That's probably much better. I'm just going to go Mallow Lana. I don't need to do too much. I don't need to worry about losing all my energies. So there's a Brave Blade in return. And my game plan is probably to knock out this Pokemon and then knock out this Pokemon. Since I already knocked out a single prize card Pokemon, they're a little too late to be using their whole super growth or anything. I don't think Shaman would be doing enough damage here in order for them to do too much. So at this point, I could probably just go, oh, they're playing a Marnie for me. That's even better, because if I'm playing a Marnie, they're almost playing an extra supporter. I'm just looking for like a switch Mallow Lana, switch Lillies Pokédoll. And these cards seem pretty good for that. Are they going to go for the Calming Hurricane, though? That's the big question. Keep on putting more 2 prize card Pokemon in play. I'm totally cool with that. What else could they be playing? Oh, a double. The double might be difficult to get to, but it depends if they use Super Growth or not. Wow. I think the Super Growth might be the incorrect take. Could be wrong. If I have 2 prize cards left remaining, this is doing 120 plus another 120, 240, 240 minus 30. Oh, that's actually super hot. So I'm just going to go like this, Lillies Pokédoll. I'm going to build up another Pokemon there. Quick Ball away a Zamazenta for another Zamazenta that I just don't think is going to be necessary. Now I'm going Professors Research. So I did find the switch. I am going to be able to take the knockout this turn. I can put this at the bottom of my deck. And now I'm attacking with the Zacian V. So LucMetal really hasn't taken a huge plunge this game, but that's okay. I'm just going to get Tool Scrapper out of my deck. The only reason why is because I'm worried that my opponent might reset stamp me. I just want to have one less dead card in my deck. And I'm going to go ahead and go Brave Blade. So if my math is correct, with the Metal Goggles, my opponent's only going to be doing 120 damage plus another 120 damage because I've drawn 4 of my prize cards. That's 240. 240 minus 30 is 210. So they'd be 10 damage off from knocking me out with the Zacian V. If they don't find a Marnie here or a reset stamp, I have Retreat Bosss, Attach an Energy Game, which is huge. So there's the Bird Keeper. Are they going to find the reset stamp? I don't know if they play reset stamp. Yep. The reset stamp's going to be the hardest part about this. Switch, maybe the switch is going to be incredibly helpful. I think I just go, like, I could either go Intrepid Sword on the active and try to find a boss and get Marnied or reset stamped again. I think I'm just going to go switch, and I'm going to attack. This puts it that they need to find a way to heal. Like, I think no matter what, this is a checkmate position, unless, of course, they get a Crushing Hammers off or something like that. Considering I haven't seen a Crushing Hammer so far, I don't think they necessarily play them in this variant of their deck. I think my opponent's just going to have to attack me with Double again. Maybe not. Maybe they're going to go for the Zarude play here. There's a bunch of crazy things that I don't even know. I don't think Zarude is helpful here. Maybe they're going to go Bosss Orders. There's the Mallow Lana. So they're going to be doing 180 minus 60, so 120. Ooh, can we find the Bosss Orders is the question. We did find the Bosss Orders. Well played. We're just going to bring up the Crobat so we don't need to worry about any resistance. Retreats. I usually try to retreat with the normal ones because you could always Metal Saucer them back. And then there's our last 2 prize cards. So able to win the game a little bit close, but reset stamp's going to make games look a little bit ugly at times. So Panaboss is calling the coin flip. Hopefully we get to go first here. I think going first is fine. And we did win the coin flip. Would you like to go first? I think so. So starting with the Zamazenta V is like really awkward, unless of course I'm playing against one of these VMAX decks. See what they flip over here before I decide what's going on. So the Jirachi there means that they're probably playing Centiskorch, or they're probably playing Blacephalon, or as you saw in the game that I played against Ethan, they're probably playing a Welder Mewtwo deck. Like, Jirachi usually spells Doom for me in any capacity. I am going to Quick Ball away a Tool Scrapper, and I'm going to get a Zacian V built up as much as possible with the Metal Goggles. There's my Metal Energy, and I'm going to try to build it up here with Intrepid Sword. So I do have the energy. If I am playing against a Metal or a Fire type deck, the Coding Metal Energy is going to be really nice. I do have to watch out for Giratina. If Giratina's really been getting you down on your luck, or it makes you feel terrible, I would definitely attach Stealthy Hood to Zacian V. Now, this list does not play Stealthy Hood, but Joshua Sutherland has been playing Stealthy Hood in his list for a while now, and that's been incredibly helpful for them. So It's really up to you. Pick your flavor, pick your text, but Stealthy Hood is not necessarily the worst. The fact that they're going into Stellar Wish right now, and you can see there's the Welder deck, means they might not necessarily have it. The fact that they're playing the Cramorant down means that our opponent might just be playing a Cracephalon deck. I'd much rather play against these decks than Centiskorch. And the fact that they're weldering to a Pokemon that's not weak to fire, to me, is huge. I'd much rather play against that. There's a Scoop of Net. Who are they going to hit is the big question. If they hit my active, I'm going to be so happy. And they also put down a decent bit of 2 prize card Pokemon. You can see 2 prize card, 2 prize card. There's their last 2 prize card Pokemon. So maybe I'm either going to go like 2 prize card, 2 prize card, 1 prize card, 1 prize card, or 2 prize card, 2 prize card, 2 prize card. Very possible either way. I do need to be careful on what my opponent is doing. So I'm going to go Coding Metal Energy here. I am going to go Quick Ball, discarding away a Marnie, or a Professors Research. I think Professors Research, yeah. Just for another Zacian. And I am going to go Marnie here. I am just trying to get out of the active to knock out their Cramorants. So no luck there. If they are able to get off another Cramorant, it can be quite difficult. There's the Lillies Pokédoll that's going to go down. I think that's worthwhile. I might as well just go for Intrepid Sword on this Pokemon. So there's my switch. There's my Mallow Lana. Maybe I'm even able to heal the Zacian V. If they aren't able to knock me out. Now, they have used a lot of resources in order to even attack this Pokemon for 130. So I do need to watch that out. And there's a Cramorant in their active spots. Best case scenario here is that they just go for a Beak Catch. And that I'm able to switch Marnie, knock them out. So there's their energy. Maybe they have the Welder in their hands. Oh, and there's another 2 prize card Pokemon. Yeah. This game is going downhill pretty quickly, if you ask me. I gotta watch out for their Spit Shot. I mean, it's not like it's doing a ridiculous amount of damage. I could run my opponent out of energies. It's definitely something that could happen. I'm going to switch into my Lillies Pokédoll. Much rather have that down. Because now I have my opponent has the remaining 4 prize cards in play. At this point, I'd like to go for Marnie. This is it's very interesting. So let's go Quick Ball, discarding a Metal Energy. At this point, I don't even know if I want to grab anything. I mean, I probably should grab something. LucMetal seems good because they could run my opponent out of energies. I've already attached for my turn. I don't want to put LucMetal down because my opponent could go Great Catcher, bring it up, knock it out with Blacephalon. So I'm going to just go Intrepid Sword here, try to get some energies, and nope on the energies. So realistically, like, this is why I personally do not like playing this deck. If you're hitting the Eternatus matchups, and if you're hitting Colossal, I'm sure LucMetal feels amazing. I just don't necessarily feel like it's as multi-dimensional as people make it out to seem. And that's one of the reasons. I mean, it is one of the best decks in formats. I just don't think it's a really good deck. My take on it is that it punishes players who are not strong at the game. So maybe Panda Boss is a average or above player. I'm not sure who they are or anything like that. They seem to be playing fairly well. The biggest but here is just it's incredibly tough to determine. I'm going to have to go for the Mallow Lana play, just kind of wasting my opponent's energies. I think that's kind of huge. So I'm going to go ahead and go switch into this. I'm going to go Mallow Lana, discarding... There's 3 of my energies there already. At this point, Metal Goggles and a Bosss Orders. I don't know why my opponent's saying well played. Maybe they're just worried that they're running out of energies. And I'm just going to go Intrepid Sword. So they've already used a Fire Crystal. They have 7 fires in their discard pile. But yeah, basically if you're playing, like kind of how I was playing against that Pips Toys deck, those are the types of players. And again, not trying to call out anyone in particular. I think that those are the types of players that it's really easy to kind of farm some wins here and there. I think like that's a huge part of a lot of decks where if you're playing a pretty capable deck, you could get some pretty easy wins against players who are just starting the game, stuff like that. You can also, what's it called? You can also just like beat good matchups sometimes, like Colossal, Eternatus are sometimes freebie matchups. Just going to build that up there, and I'll continue on with my thought process. I'm just going to go for the Marnie. I want to knock out the Oricorio as my first prize card, I think. I'm going to power up this. At least I have this Switch Mallow Lana play, and I might as well build up more energies. I'll take them. The reason why I'm taking the energies is just because I could retreat back the Zacian as well. But yeah, you beat some of the matchups with the VMAX decks just because it's Zamazenta. You beat opponents because they basically play down their energies. But a lot of this is based off of your opponent just playing the wrong deck at the right deck at the wrong time, or the wrong deck at the right time, whatever it is. And a lot of it comes down to just like being better than your opponent. For me, I think I'd rather play a different deck than LucMetal. Eternatus has been very rewarding to me. Centiskorch has been very rewarding for me. Both of those decks are doing better than LucMetal, so I think there might be a correlation there. Now this is scary because I'm not entirely sure what my opponent's going to do here. I think I might just attack with I might attack here. Just for the 130, I'm going to poke at them. I'd rather hold on to the Mallow Lana, especially if they're just going to keep on going with Cram. Because I could always heal. Maybe they'll start attacking into my active and I could just heal that. So the fact that my opponent's so bent on using Cram, especially when I'm playing a fire weak deck, I know I do have the coding metal energies, but it's just really one of those things where Cram is not very efficient for them. We'll see. So there's another energy. I'm really just trying to run my opponent out of energies here. And maybe they'll forget that I'm weak to fire. That'd be huge. Or maybe they'll forget that I'm no longer weak to fire. I might be able to put my opponent in a deck out measure here. You can see the fire crystals are almost all gone. They might have one left. So there's all their fire crystals. Okay, at this point, I think I'm going to send up the Zacian V. To me, this just seems too good. They have all their fire crystals. They have 6 in the discard pile. The Zacian V means that I'm going to knock out their Blacephalon, and they're going to have another 3 in their discard pile. At this point, I don't know if it's worthwhile for me to put down Zamazenta V. I don't think so. It's probably much better for me to switch, get another metal energy there, now play Research. I'm going to hold on to the rest of these cards. I'm going to go Lillies Pokedoll goes down, put this down at the bottom of my deck. So this is going to be how I'm going to avoid deck outs. Maybe I shouldn't have played that Research. We'll see. So here's my Brave Blade. And really, will my opponent be able to draw 2 more prize cards? That's the big question here. So far I've drawn 1 prize card. I have a lot of ways to retreat. I have a lot of energies on that Pokemon. But we'll see what my opponent's able to do here. Like, they are down 9 energies in their discard pile and 4 fire crystals. I'm really wondering how they're going to be able to get those extra energies. I think they'll be able to get energies to attack. Do they play energy retrieval? I'm not sure. Does my opponent play Giratina, Scoop Up Net, Reshizard, and they use their last 3 energies and win the game? Very possible. But I think they are going to put themselves in a position where they are going to deck outs very quickly. So they're down at 12 cards. Now they're probably going to use Jirachi soon to draw another card. And here I think I could just kind of pass. I might be able to go Mallow Lana. I might be able to hard retreats, knock out an Lucario. Because they've also used a decent bit of Scoop Up Nets and Switch as well. So I'm just going to try to take it easy in this matchup. We'll see how many energies my opponent potentially has. But I think they used all their energies to get that knockouts on the Zamazenta. So we know they have at least 2. If I could find another Coating Metal energy, I'd be very happy about that. I don't want to go searching too hard for it, but I just don't know exactly what variant my opponent's playing of the Blacephalon, because like I said, there's the Blacephalon deck, there's the Crucephalon deck, things like that. Firezard, Tempozard, Centizard, Centiscorch. There's the Reshizard there, so that might be what makes it a bit of a difficult matchup, especially if they're able to get 3 energies on that Pokemon. So we'll see how they react here. They'd have to use a Scoop Up Net on that Mewtwo to make a bench space, or maybe use a Scoop Up Net on the Jirachi. I might be able to just go Bosss Orders a few times. So there's, maybe they're going to sacrifice a Pokemon here. Now they're down to 5 cards left in their deck, and they have access to 1 Scoop Up Net and 1 Switch. I think that's probably about it for energies. Now, I could hit this Pokemon for 220 damage, or 230 damage. 230 plus 30 is 260, 260 minus 30. I actually think my best case scenario here is to go LucMetal. And I could be completely wrong here. I think just LucMetal, Metal Saucer, Bosss Orders this up. This up, yep. Hard retreat. And I'm going to go for Full Metal Wall. I would have really liked to have something that would block my weakness there, because my opponent could just easily get Welder off. Maybe they have the energy retrieval, but they're just going to concede because I ran them out of energies. So we take those wins. Sometimes you got to think outside of the box. So here we are at the end of the LucMetal video. And I mean, I was able to win the vast majority of my games. Did I play against the realist decks? I mean, even in some of the unrecorded content that I didn't put out here, I got a couple scoops against Pika ROMs, stuff like that, where my opponents just didn't have much going on their first turn. And that's going to happen, especially when it comes to content creation. So I mean, I think I went overall like 5-1 out of the games that I played with LucMetal in this session that I sat down for a couple hours and played it. I still think that the deck is a little sharp around the edges, if that makes any sense. While I do think it's much better than I originally thought, and that it can have some just overwhelming gameplay options, I feel like that's really where its strength is weighted compared to other decks like Eternatus, which are much more easier to set up. I feel like they've seen more success. I feel like those types of decks have a variety of options and a variety of attackers. Maybe I'm just not used to playing 3 Pokemon in a deck and being content with it. I just don't think that its strongest matchups are the absolute strongest. I feel like it has an overwhelmingly poor fire type matchup. Even though I was able to beat Blacephalon there, my opponent played unfortunately quite poorly to the point where they lost that matchup. And again, if you're my opponent and you're watching this, it's not to think that you're a bad player. I think in that snapshot of time, you made a few decisions that led you down a path that were not correct, that allowed you to lose the game. And I mean, let's just be real. I've made the same calls on myself, where even as I'm going through my Players Cup recap, there's times where I'm like, what was I doing? What was I thinking? And a lot of it times I chalk down, I'm like, I was playing Pokemon at 6 o'clock in the morning. So I mean, maybe my opponent was just playing on the ladder and just vibing out, whatever, that's cool. I just feel like if you're playing against a player who knows how to play that matchup, who's played against LucMetal before, and doesn't necessarily panic and keep on using spit shots, especially when fire type attacks can do a lot more damage, or not using fire crystal to the full potential, being very resourceful, sequencing properly, things like that, that's really where the matchup becomes very poor. So I feel like for the LucMetal players, I feel like the way that they're playing the deck is, yeah, we've been winning against a lot of players. We win against the matchups that we think we win against. But reality, I don't believe that those are the true matchups. That's my current take on it. I feel like when the LucMetal players, who always play LucMetal players, play against Eternatus, they're like, I always win against Eternatus. For me, when I'm playing Eternatus, I'm like, yeah, I think I win against LucMetal about 50% of the time. I always play to my outs. It's really, like, it's not a matchup I want to see, but I mean, I think I probably win it against like 40% to 50%, even 60% of the time. Like, there's that range of where it's like, I think I'm doing pretty okay against LucMetal, especially considering it's one of my poor matchups. So I think for myself, looking at a top-down perspective, LucMetal is a deck that preys on players that do not know how to play against it, preys on poor matchups or poor deck choices, or maybe the right deck choice at the wrong time. However it works, it's one of those things where LucMetal, I find, is in the right place at the right time, more so than just being a great deck, if that makes sense. However, if you are playing it for their Players Cup 3, I do think it is a solid deck, probably the 4th place deck right now in format to be playing in your Players Cup quals. Again, because there are a lot of players who are not the most skill-based playing in these Players Cup things. Like, let's be real, there's a lot of players who are new to the game who are joining for Players Cup 3. LucMetal is a very good deck to play against those types of players. They might not have experienced a deck like that before, and as you've seen in some of my games, they might not know how to properly play against LucMetal. So, I know it's a little bit of a rant. I'm not trying to be rude or diminishing towards anyone who likes LucMetal, anyone who I played against, anyone who thinks that they're a lesser player. LucMetal really takes advantage of players who just don't know how to play against LucMetal. It's the best way to put it, the nicest way to put it. And if that makes LucMetal a good deck, I'll take it. But beyond that, I'm not sold on it. However, I do think it's probably the 4th best deck to be playing for your Players Cup quals right now. That being said, I do have to go, so hopefully you enjoyed this video. Hopefully it was enlightening. I mean, I did win more with LucMetal than not, so that's a cool thing. Let me know what you think about the deck or what I said in the video in the comments below. Maybe I'm preaching gold. Maybe you're like, I'm not a fan of the Zac guy anymore. I'm not sure, but if you haven't already subscribed, hit that subscribe button right there. Totally appreciate it. Currently on the road to 1,000 subscribers, so let's hope we get there. I gotta go create some more content, so I'm gonna let y'all peace out for right now, but have yourself a great day, and I'll catch up with all of y'all next time. Peace. Really hope that you enjoyed watching that video. I totally enjoyed making it. If you enjoyed it, be sure to like the video, share the video with everyone that you know, and subscribe to the channel as well. Totally appreciate all the support. We got a lot of cool things happening on the channel, so stay tuned for more. Be sure to check out the social links in the description. Thanks, and have yourself a great one.